Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry,
Please.
sir. Just I was just checking whether the audio is audible, like it's not audible or not.
Yes, ma'am. Your voice is very clear, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
டாக்டர் குட் ஈவினிங்.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Welcome, sir.
அவங்க கெஸ்ட் ஜாயின் பண்ணிட்டாங்களா?
இல்ல சார், கால் பண்ணி சொல்லிட்டேன். இப்போ ஒரு 5 மினிட்ஸ்ல சார் ஜாயின் பண்ணிடுவாங்க.
ஓகே. Friends, good evening. We are waiting for the guest and some more people to join. Please wait for some more minutes. We'll be starting soon. Certainly, you will be going to receive a wonderful content, which will be of great use to you. So please hold for 5 more minutes. Thank you.
வணக்கம்.
குட் ஈவினிங் சார். குட் ஈவினிங்.
சாரி, இங்கே ஒரு டெக்னிக்கல் ப்ராப்ளமா இருக்கு. அதான் நான் லேப்டாப்ல வர முடியல, இந்த இதுல வந்தேன். ஏன்னா நம்ம செல்போன்ல. ஓகே, இது ஓகேவா இருக்கா? சவுண்ட் ஓகேவா இருக்கா?
எவ்ரிதிங் வெரி கிளியர் சார்.
சாரி ஃபார் த டிலே. சாரி
சார், நோ இஷ்யூஸ் சார். Mr. Ramkumar sir, guest came, sir.
Welcome, Doctor. We
welcome.
can start our session.
Okay.
Dr. Raja, we can start.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good evening, one and all present here. Public Relations Society of India Chennai chapter organizing webinar on digital cinema in the new millennium. We welcome you all for this, wonderful session today. We have guest Dr. Swarnavel Ishwaran, professor in Department of English as well as School of Media Technology, Michigan University, United States of America. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Ramkumar Singaram, our chairman. Sir, can you give few words about PRSI Chennai chapter?
Thank you, Dr. Raja. To introduce Dr. Raja, is a secretary. He is also the assistant professor in Viscom department, Satyabama University in Chennai. Okay, so then now we again warmly welcome Dr. Swarnavel Ishwaran all the way. We can able to hear his speech from USA. The technology help us to know the content, to get the content from USA in few minutes gap. So thank you very much for joining, Doctor. Actually, PRSI, short form of Public Relations Society of India. It was started in 1959. Now it has got 23 chapters across India, and more than 3,000 PR professionals are members in PRSA. Coming back to Chennai chapter is one among the largest chapters in India. We have got more than 110 members, and every month we conduct 2 online programs related to public relations or communication or photography or cinema or television or any sort of communication medium for that reason, or even advertising industry or media industry. So anything related to these industries, we conduct regular seminars. We invite professionals, we invite professors, knowledgeable people across the world, and they used to teach or they used to share their knowledge to our audience. So every month we conduct 2 online sessions and 1 offline session at Hotel Savera at Chennai. So people who are attending right now, they can also become a member and they can enjoy the knowledge benefit out of these sessions. So, and participants who are attending till the end of the session, they'll be getting a e-certificate. So, thank you very much for sharing your time and attending this seminar. Certainly, this seminar is going to be a mind-blogging one. The topic what you have chosen is a different kind of topic which we never think of this. And Dr. Swarnavel has given a wonderful topic called digital cinema in the new millennium. Cinema, yes, totally it moved to the digital era, and the new millennium, how it's going to be viewed, and what is going to be the future of the digital cinema. Yes, that's what Dr. going to speak to all of us. We can see a lot of research scholars, a lot of professors and PhD students and all. Nice to see such a brilliant crowd, brilliant people. So yes, I am also eagerly waiting, like you, for a wonderful session from Dr. Swarnavel Ishwaran. Thank you, Doctor, and thank you, Dr. Raja. Over to Dr. Sridevi, our treasurer. So, Dr. Sridevi, you can give an introduction about today's chief guest.
Okay, sir. On behalf of PRSI, I welcome all the members, all the participants who have joined for this session. I take this opportunity to introduce our today's chief guest, Mr. Swarnavel Ishwaran. Our chief guest is a professor in the Department of English and School of Journalism at Michigan State University, where he teaches film history, theory, and production. He graduated from the Film and Television Institute of India and the University of Iowa. His documentaries include Nagapatnam, Waves from the Deep, which was released in 2018, Among Memories at the Crossroad in 2016, Migration of Islam 2014, and Unfinished Journey, A City in Transition in the year 2012. His research focuses on Tamil and Indian cinema's history, aesthetics, politics, contemporary digital cinema, and concomitant changes. His essays have appeared in Screen, Jump Cut, South Asian Popular Culture and Caste, a global journal on social exclusion. His books include Tamil Cinema Reviews 1931 to 1960, which was released in 2020, and Madras Studios Narrative Genre and Ideology in Tamil Cinema, which is published in Sage Publications in the year 2015. His fiction feature, Kattumaram, which was released in 2019, has been screened in over 50 international film festivals, including At the Frame Line, Inside Out, and Kashish. He also received significant awards like the Teacher Scholar Award from Michigan State University in the year 2017. He has published significant research papers in prominent research journals of national and international basis. On behalf of PRSI, welcome you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you? How is my sound? Is it all right?
Sir, very, very good, sir.
Okay. First of all, let me apologize. Sorry for the delay because I was trying to join through my laptop. For some technical reason, it was not working very strangely. So then I connected through my cell phone. So bear with me. That's why I wanted to know about the sound. Thank you. And my thanks, to all the participants, to Dr. Singaram, Dr. Raja, Dr. Sridevi. My gratitude for providing this space to engage and talk about digital cinema. We have about say under 1 hour. So let me talk for about 30-35 minutes. Then we will have a Q&A session where I can answer your questions because. To talk about digital cinema is like almost, it's a very huge topic. So I'll focus on some of the key elements, that first let me begin, with my experience that as Dr. Sridevi pointed out, I have done a lot of, documentaries, in the new millennium, mainly with my students. Since my area of research, is in Tamil Nadu, I've done a few documentaries in the US. For instance, Unfinished Journey, A City in Transition was a homage to the iconic Martin Luther King on the 50th anniversary of the civil rights movement. That film was a collaboration with my students. So going back to 2011, 2012, when myself and my friend, who was at that time a professor at Flagler College, we shot with our students as collaborators. So 12, 13 years back, we didn't have the kind of digital cameras, DSLRs we have now. So that film, if you look at it, it's available on YouTube. You can see that, we have used, the technology, which was, just beginning to emerge, the DSLRs and mainly through camcorders, big camcorders. Thereafter, if you look at, a film like Nagapatnam, Waves from the Deep, that was shot, as the title indicates, in Nagapatnam, mainly in two villages, Akkaraipete and Kichankuppam, where 6,050 people out of the 13,000 population, almost 50% died in the two waves on the eve of, Christmas on the day. So I was continuously kind of, covering it, over a decade, every alternate summer when I could go to India. And that film, because I was covering it, broadly from 2004, 2005 summer onwards to 2014, around 10 years. So it has the entire, it is also a documentation of the technology. Because you can see we are using, including cell phones, early cell phones, VHS, we are using low-end DSLR cameras, so you can see, that every film is also a documentation of the history or the what we can call as the techno-materialism of cinema, that what camera you used, So you can see that trajectory. So in digital cinema, see, that is the challenge now. On the one hand, you have this low-end digital technology. For instance, my recent article on Kulangal and Kotukali by the young and extraordinary director P.S. Vinod Raj, whose Kulangal won the the topmost award, Tiger Award at Rotterdam, first of its kind for a Tamil. So it's a matter of pride for us that it could win an international award. That was shot on a very small DSLR camera called Sony AS7, which many of you might be familiar. It's a highly affordable camera. And if you watch that film, I've seen it on the big screen. It is as good as any film made anywhere in the world. So on the one hand, you have that kind of technology. On the other, you have this kind of huge productions, including Bahubali or including um, any of those kind of or any of what they now call as pan-Indian films or Hindi films, which are made in a huge budget. So there you can see the high-end technology being used, where they use cameras like Alexa, from the Ariflex group, which is yet remains unaffordable for a small filmmaker. You can only hire those cameras. So on the one hand, with the digital, you have these high-end cameras, technology, which is expensive. And on the other hand, you have this kind of what enables a very subaltern mode of making films, low-end technology. So that is what on the one hand there is a democratization of the field, because many of my students in India as well as in the US work on Final Cut Pro, which is also the software used by iconic editors like Walter Murch, who worked with Francis Ford Coppola. If you read his books, so that way there is a democratization. That today you pay around $300, you get the Final Cut Pro on your computer, on a Macintosh computer it works, but then you don't have to pay anything because um, Final Cut Pro is updated with new versions maybe every 3 months, and you don't have to pay for that. So on the one hand, there is this democratization. On the other hand, there is the other thing, which is always part of, this kind of big corporate culture, part of capitalism, where, great innovations are taking place at the high-end level, but which is only affordable by the big production houses. So when we talk about digital technology, we have to keep both these trends in mind. Now, let us look at, theoretically how it is approached by scholars. See, one of the major discourses surrounding digital technology is the idea of indexicality. So what is indexicality? That, to put it very simply, it is like when you say that, there is no smoke without fire. We are talking about an indexicality. We are talking about the index of, smoke, which indexes firing. So when there is smoke, already we understand that there is fire behind it. So smoke is only an index of the fire, in the background. Get my point. So with the transition to digital, something about indexicality is lost. For instance, today, without my presence in front of this camera, you can create my image, talking through artificial intelligence or, through many other, softwares or, through computer generated image. You can totally generate an image. So there is no need for the presence of the presence of a pro-filmic object. It is not needed in front of the camera. Whereas earlier, during the last century, that the celluloid film was used, generally you will have to have, the presence of an object in front of the camera. So the presence of the object and the recording of it becomes a proof, that that object was present when the film was, rolling in front of the camera. Except, in case you make some, special effects and all that, but generally, I mean, that this is by default accepted, that, therefore, during the last century, even the Supreme Courts all over the world accepted a film as one of the evidences, So there are many cases where films played a major role of providing, the evidentiary aspect of a documentary or document, not just regarding cinema, but even outside the cinema hall as an evidence of the presence, of the object in front. But today with digital, it changes. So when that aspect of indexicality fades with the celluloid, when the digital arrives, that is now you can manipulate anything. You can bring in a presence of a person, or you can even reinvent a person who has died, who has gone away, and you can see that in cinema that is happening now, isn't it? You have presence of people like MJR in some films, or Netaji Subhash Bose, in Indian. So you can bring back that element, more easily now, with the digital. So then scholars take two approaches. There are scholars who are elegiac. They are writing a requiem to the past history of celluloid. They are very nostalgic about cinema. And there are other scholars who are euphoric, like, Liv Manovich and the digital scholar. They are talking about how digital cinema is like, has made the medium plastic. Now, like a clay, you can mold. Like a painter, you can paint. You are not limited by what is, in front of the camera. So there are these two aspects. On the one hand, you have traditional scholars who are nostalgic about what has been lost with the passing away of the celluloid. On the other, you have those who are celebrating the possibilities of the digital. This is a very important, philosophical argument. Those who are interested, I would also point to my own essay where I've written on how indexicality still persists in the digital. For instance, some of you might have seen the documentary Killing Fields by Channel 4 on the Tamil genocide in Sri Lanka. If you had seen, or some of the clippings, segments are available on YouTube, you can watch it. You can see that the most crucial aspect of the documentary is about the evidentiary aspect of what was going on in and around, May 9th, the crucial date for all Tamilians. So there, the most important evidence is provided by the cell phone footage of the people who were the perpetrators. So similarly, you can see, the Guantanamo Bay footage in the documentary of the iconic documentarian, of our lifetime, Errol Morris. Standard operating procedure is the name of the documentary. So there, at very crucial moment, the whole history of the torture is contextualized by cell phone footage. So now, cell phone footage is also a digital footage. It can also be manipulated. Then how come we accept those evidences in those films? So I'm arguing for how you contextualize, how in fact even this kind of a digital mode of cell phone footage adds to the power of the documentary because of the graininess, because of the handle, the immediacy, the urgency, because that is more important in those documentaries. Then how we discern, yes, this has to be authentic footage. You get my point. So my essay argues, I think I given the link or posted the PDF in academia.edu for any of you who want to read that essay. So these are, the many thoughts, but also I wanted to jump on to, some of the recent things I wanted to talk about. For instance, some of you may be aware of, the films of Villeneuve, who is, very well known for his very big films. He is one of the huge filmmakers. Some of you might have seen, his Dune 1 and 2. On the high end, millions of dollars are invested in this, in this world he creates. Whether it is a dystopic world, um, or whether it is a science fiction driven, futuristic world. That is the science technology, and he's a master of that. But he also engaged very recently for a web series called Mandalorian. Some of you might have seen that. In Mandalorian, which was a web series, um, uh, for him, relatively it was a low budget thing, but yet, it's still, significantly budgeted. But there they experiment with, that they are extending the idea of the green screen. That earlier, even now, uh, it was blue screen. Now we use the green, and then, we shoot things in front of the green screen and then bring in the backdrop that has been shot separately. And now, the green screen enables the removal of this color very easily, as long as you don't have other greens in the frame. What you shot in the front remains, and now you can, totally have the backdrop which you want. So this was a process which has again been, used at the very low end, or, at the very, high budget, higher end, by these huge filmmakers, including from George Lucas onwards. There has been a large trend, from blue screen onwards, then to the green screen. But now with Mandalorian, there is a new trend. That is, what they are doing is, that instead of green screen and later bringing in the backdrop, they project live a backdrop you want. For example, I'm sitting here, but in the backdrop, I want as if I'm sitting in a chair in the mutram, of my, in the yard, front yard, of my village house. And I can project the entire, door after door, my entire house of my village house in the backdrop. But the difference is it's not done, post. That is shoot now in green screen, and then you bring in and juxtapose those material with this and combine them. Now it is shot live in the sense that you already have shot those material or created them, through your computer generated images, and then you project them live. So even as I speak, I'm also aware of what is in the backdrop, what is the lighting, how is it going, and how it adds my mood. So it also in a way enables my performance, because I don't have to act in front of a blind screen. So this, is a new development. And by the way, I've been talking to my own friends and my students who have done, 3 years of study in this kind of, Maya modulations and other software, working in the field now. So they talk about this is going to be the future, even for low-end filmmaking. That is what I was mainly asking them. Will it enable a small budget filmmaker, an independent filmmaker, to use this technology? They say yes. So these are the recent developments. I have also spoken about it in my keynote, which is a very long keynote, which I'll be publishing soon. There I've detailed all this, the technicality of it, those who are invested in that, and also given the references of books and interviews you can read. So those who are interested can email me. Googling my name, you'll get my email. I'm willing to send the published material of my documentaries and also my keynote. There you have all those details. And the other aspect of it which I wanted to talk about was there are many such things we can keep on talking, but one thing which many of you might be familiar is the de-aging software. That how now if there is an old character, if you go to a flashback, you don't have to search for a young boy, adolescent guy to play Amitabh Bachchan. You can recreate. You can use the de-aging software. For example, if some of you might have seen the film Kalki, where Amitabh Bachchan comes as Ashwatthama, you can see that they are using the de-aging software. And many of Tamil films and Hindi films very recently. So this again, now they are saying that there is a lot of developments in that software. So it is going to become more and more affordable, for independent and modest budget filmmakers to use that software. So that again will help, when you are trying to create some flashbacks, you can authentically kind of generate, the kind of image or face you want. So there again, you are shooting live, or you are shooting in a studio, say a village you have created within a studio set, but also have this man, portrayed by a young boy, and then you have the face and other features, done through artificial intelligence, and computer generated images. The movement and the posture can mimic that of the older guy, who is playing the role. So all those things become possible now, because of what is possible through digital technology. So these things I wanted to talk about because these are things you may be familiar, in your lived environment, because we are watching these kind of films. We are also watching low-end, technology-driven films through independent art cinema. We are also watching these huge blockbusters where we see the high-end technology of the digital, whether it is, somebody hanging onto a rock or somebody diving from, a chopper, or even in very normal stunt scenes. The earlier what was very rare and expensive has become very affordable now. Using the thread or the you have this wire and then erasing the wire. So people just keep flying, but they are manipulated through a crane and a wire. Through their back, they are lifted up and down, and then they are erased, digitally. So it looks very real, instant scenes. So these are things which are ubiquitous now. So I just thought of talking about things which you might be familiar in your lived environment. So I will, maybe we have around 20-25 minutes. So I will stop here. So we can have a 3-minute break where you can, think of the questions and drop your questions in the chat box, or, and then I can answer them. So is that all right?
Yes, sir. Dear participants, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and you can raise your question, or you can type in chat box. Dear participants. Sir, I will ask my first question, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. What is the difference between Indian as well as United States of America? Recently, we conduct one webinar, sir, along with Ratnavil, cameraman Ratnavil, sir. He said every year, 1 month or 15 days, he used to spend a time in the United States of America to learn new camera technologies, and then he implement in Tamil films, sir. What is the difference between India as well as United States of America, especially in cinema technologies?
Yes. See, there are two things, when it comes to cinema. That is the storytelling, that is the main aspect of it, even with the digital, because you must have a screenplay where there is a lot of, sequences where digital technology can play a major role, if you are imagining it. See, the success of somebody like Rajamouli is predicated on that. Everybody uses digital technology, but he wove digital technology into his script itself, drawing from mythical epic Puranas and the magic and fantasy, and then addressing a modern young audience. So that is as good in India as in the United States. The storytelling narrative part of it. Regarding technological development, yes, here, because so much of funds are allocated, and so much of corporates, because English being a language, which they are able to export the products all over the world. So they have the luxury of spending on research and development. So that's the only advantage. And because of that, and nowadays, mobility has become easy. It's not like, my times when, like traveling to US was a big deal, for young people. So then they come and, they attend some workshops or conferences where this, digital technology, equipment, softwares, and demonstrations take place. And others come, even, practitioners come as artists in residence, for 3 weeks to a university or somewhere in California, to a film school, and then they learn, or engage with industry people, or even some of the universities are very advanced when it comes to teaching digital technology, the state of the art digital equipments. So they come. Some of them spend a semester. Some of them spend around 9 months. Some of them, because they also partly teach their experience and learn, and some of them attend a workshop or a conference. So this always benefits. because I would say that it's a two-way thing. People go from here and learn a lot from India in terms of richness of mythology and fantasy that can enable them to write the script. And people come from here and take something in terms of what is happening in regarding the experimentation with technology. So it's a kind of a two-way street, I would say. So um, I would strongly support this, that traveling back and forth of technicians both from here and from India, because it always helps you, when you travel, engage with other cultures, other developments, what are those advancements in technology, what is happening. It always benefits an artist, a technician, a storyteller. It always benefits. Yes.
Sir, I am Natarajan calling from Coimbatore, sir.
Yes.
I've got a fundamental doubt.
Yes.
The digital cinema,
Ah.
does it really portray the reality, or we are way away from the reality? For example, you were talking about de-aging software.
Yes.
What I am today and what
Yes.
I would have been 20 years back
Yes.
could not be that easily imagined by a de-aging software or AI.
Yes.
So, do you agree that there will be a distortion in the projection of the images?
Yes, no, 100%. That is what, if you see that I was talking about the indexical, that see, when celluloid was there, the film rolls in front of an object, So that object is real, isn't it? See, when instead of de-aging, if I'm going to use an older photograph of yours, it will be real because it's a photograph, taken by. Unless and until I manipulate it, that I use some other boy because he looks similar to. But if I use, like in a documentary, your own photograph from your family albums, it will be very real, that development. Whereas with digital, what happens is, that the indexical is lost. Now, in other words, to put it simply, I can create smoke where there is no fire at all. You understand? That earlier we will say, if there is smoke, there has to be fire.
Very true. Very true.
So here what happens is we can manipulate, through so many things, that you can create through AI, you can create through, other softwares, or you can totally modify and manipulate somebody else's photograph and make it that of your past, as if you were in. So that is why, that the great discourse I just touched upon because of the limitation of time, that the loss of indexicality, the sign as representing the signifier, the sign is telling us the signified and signifier as the relationship is now broken. No?
I get your point clearly, sir. I get your point.
Now there may be a signifier, without the signified being present, isn't it?
Correct, sir. But the point is, for example, if you see an ad of Campo-Cola recently, which has been launched in lanes, you see the gentleman flying and coming down and trying to take the Campo-Cola to drink. In reality, that's just impossible. So the youngsters should not be carried away with such imaginary movements. So I think statutorily there should be a warning down running as a scroll that please do not imitate. This is artificially created. That will be a safeguard method. What's your opinion, sir?
Yes, no, absolutely. That is, see, nowadays, that it is mandatory, even advertisement film, they put a disclaimer. But unfortunately, those disclaimers also move very fast, that before you read. And they put, no, this, this stunt by the car is done by, special stuntman, or, is done through computer generated images. Please don't imitate. But we see, that unfortunately, that if you look at last 5 years, how many young people and even old people have died just because they wanted to take a selfie, You get my point? So here we are talking about even a reality. See, here the background is not even manipulated, but because digital technology forces us, that now I can be present in the foreground, whereas in the background something spectacular is there, so many, if you look at every tourist spot, now as a history of deaths, actually.
Correct, sir. Very
Whereas, that in many sports, when we were young, we know that there will be a, board or a placard. It is very dangerous. Don't leap or look or stand here, stand away. Don't, climb over the fence. We'll find. But now, if you have to put everywhere, because, everywhere people are doing this, despite, young generation being aware of, because they watch a lot of videos, they are aware, that so many people have died, unfortunately, and it was like totally avoidable. You get my point? So your concern is real, and I agree with it as a teacher, that many strengths, for example, I'll tell you that, Superman was made, not only in the US, we had our own Indian version, so then, imitating, and it was like telecast, like over the years, because very popular it was as a series, and then, young children imitate, they fall, thinking that, they can fly. And there are instances, unfortunately, where they've died.
true.
So many of us are aware of, because we have read about this in newspapers, when we are growing up, and, even later. And for the younger generation, I'm saying growing up, So we know that this is, a part of the reality of life which could be avoided, as you rightly point out. So I fully agree with what you say. For example, that today, in a very, very simple way, I would say, that, wiring is a concept, where you have, big, thick, iron wires put on the back and the hip and the shoulder, and the heroine kind of, or the hero goes over the rocks, and they fly and reach and jump. But that, it is through a mechanized kind of crane. They are lifted and placed, And then, these wires are easily erased through digital technology. So you feel as if they are really jumping, whereas they are not, isn't it? They are only hanging on very safely. Whereas looking at this, if, unfortunately, a child or adolescent kid imitates, it can be most dangerous.
Very true. Okay.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
this is the downside of digital technology. I have to say that. Yes.
Sir, Mr. Natarajan is from Coimbatore. He is a senior most PR consultant. He is senior most professional from Coimbatore.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, boss. Thank you very much for the compliment.
Yeah, thank you. We recognize the presence of Mr. Natarajan. Sir, one more question from our side, and there are some more questions are already there in the chat box, which we'll
please.
Yeah, from my side. Okay, if everything can be created artificial, what happened to the real talent?
Yes. So this is a major question. That what is the role of an artist if everything is going to be technical and mechanical? But as far as cinema is concerned, that one thing I would say that, in the writing or the creative part of it precedes technology. See, there are many films, made with, extraordinary budget, but people do not watch them. They fail at the box office. Technically, they may be savvy. You may have action sequences which are done extremely well, very meticulously. What we call the skin is created, that of the texture of the people and the actor, through, computer generated, technology today. You can enhance, the details, infinitely, that there are so much possibilities. But despite all that, some films fail. The reason is still, cinema is about the art of storytelling, where imagination matters a lot. Whether it is a very small budget film, which is, like the films of, the great Dalit icon, Pa Ranjit, where you are addressing a Dalit issue in Kala. For example, if you look at Kala, because he is from, Paranjit has a background in Madras School of Fine Arts, he is a painter. So he thinks as a painter when he makes this film. So in Kala, it's not only about the climax, is not only about the protagonist played by Rajnikant and the antagonist played by Nana Patekar, but it is also about the clash of colors, black and white. And then, how, the red, the black, and ultimately the movement to the blue is also enhanced through digital technology, the colors. So it's a very unique achievement that, that the climactic moment of the standoff, between the binaries, of the black and white here, where he already kind of inverts the idea of white as good and black as evil, the great Paranjit. But also his play of colors. You see, this digital enhancement, enables that extraordinary climax in Kala. That,
Thank you, Dr.
I would also, yes.
Friends, whoever has typed the questions in the chat box, you can unmute and you can ask directly and telling your name.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. This is Valarmati.
Yes. Hello, Valarmati. Yes, Professor.
Yes, yes, sir.
Dr. Valarmati is the HOD of Wales University Viscom Department. Okay, yes. She is also our member, proud member. Dr. Valarmati, you can proceed.
Yes, sir. So recently, I have seen, I observed the Google, which is doing some experiments in making a movie completely using AI. It is under production. And one more they launched is using a Google Beam, capturing a scene in 3-dimensional. So that they have introduced in Google Meet, but I think it's only available in US, not in India. So can you give a little more details on this, sir?
Yes. See, now even, last year, my own students, invited me to a festival to be on the jury. And, it was totally about films made through AI, so here you have now a very rich developments. Now you can make a film, that some of the films were focusing on very humane kind of stories, focusing on, people, focusing on their backdrops, and somewhere, the hyper animation surrounding, dystopia or, utopian kind of futurist backdrops, where it was highly stylized, where people do not, look like people, but, extension of people. So both have become now possible, using, only through, digital technology, through your computers, through softwares, through plugins, it has become possible. And these are films which are wonderful because why I thought was, see, they were addressing social issues like inclusivity, whether they were using a very normal kind of environment digitally created, like two students in their dorm and their movement to the food court and coming back, that discussion, or they are doing in a very futuristic style of, a state controlling, like as if like a Fridge Longian kind of, a film they are making. But all of them were, what I liked was deeply thought, well written, so that they were aware of, the amount of money involved, even if you are, generating it through computers, and the limitation, because, you can't have the storage space of a big corporate company. So within the, 5 TB or 8 TB hard drive, you have how to think about all this. But for imagination, nothing is the limit. So they were kind of highly imaginative projects. So if you ask me, is this one way the world is going to go, particularly the film world, I would say yes. But concomitant to that will always be real people, documentaries on real people, docudramas, biofiction, people we are interested, that will also coexist. So this is a trend. I'm sure, it is growing by leaps and bounds because, that, artificial intelligence, over the last 5 years has grown a lot. As a professor, you might be aware of, how students are now using it for writing, so also, that the intervention of AI in sound and images as well. So in a way, if you ask me whether it is a good trend, I would say yes, because it enables, very young kids, who are just, in their undergraduation, experimenting not only with their ideas, but with their imagination. So on the one hand, there is the, abuse of technology, as I was speaking, answering, the question to Professor Natarajan. On the other hand, there is also the possibility for creativity, as I'm answering to you. So both coexist. There is a great possibility. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for that, sir.
Yes.
This Google Beam, is it right now in use in US, or it is still testing technology?
No, it is being used. It is being used. But also, let me tell you, see, there are Similar to that, there are also other, free public use software, by young students, particularly from Eastern Europe. So you can see that, that a lot of students are engaging with not only, this kind of, quasi-free, quasi-paid softwares of big corporates, but also independent plugins, designed by, creative. For example, in my own university, we have one of the top video games program in the entire world. For the last 10 years, if you look at Princeton Review, which lists, if you go to Michigan State University video games, it's always be number one or number two. So many of my students who come to my documentary fiction class, they also, some of them specialize in video games, in their third and fourth year, and they come back to my class and keep talking to me. And I know the kind of development that is taking place. Huge and phenomenal. Because a lot of young minds, who also are balancing or combining the streams of their engineering technological background with creativity. So that's a very new development. So on the one hand, you have softwares like Beam, but also on the other hand, you have extraordinary options now. At huge, to use these plugins, independently designed by. See, along with young filmmakers, we have to constantly have young technicians who are creative, who are also potential filmmakers, but they talk through technology. Today, you can see that they are straddling both this path of creativity, commitment, and technology. They are straddling this path. So that's a very healthy thing, I would say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Since we need to close it, Dr. Raja, now, vote of thanks.
Oh, thank you. I think the time kind of, went away too fast. So much, but if any of you have questions, you can always email me. Thank you. Thank you.
It's a wonderful
Thank you, sir.
Doctor.
Today we had, we got plenty of information regarding digital filmmaking in the new millennium and the difference between India and the United States of America. Sir have given many input for us, like chroma keying and DI and many visual effects. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
We and our participants got plenty of information regarding digital filmmaking, digital cinema, the new millennium. Thank you, dear participants. Today we had a wonderful participants. Thank you all for this interactive session. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I mainly also want to thank not only all the professors here who gave me this space, but also to the participants. Thank you to all the participants.
Welcome, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Dear participants, I will post a feedback form. Within 2 days, you will receive a e-certificate through your mail ID. Dear participants, I am going to post feedback form. Please fill up the feedback form. You can receive certificate within 2 days. Thank you all.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. You can leave the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, friends.
ஆமாங்க. நல்லா இருக்கீங்களா? நல்லா இருக்கேங்க. வந்துட்டீங்களா சென்னையில? சென்னையில தான் இருக்கீங்களா? நான் தான் சொல்லிட்டேங்களே நேத்தே, அம்மா கூட்டிட்டு வாங்க. ஆனா வந்து அபிஷியலா கிடையாது. ஆனா வந்து நிறைய பேரண்ட் வருவாங்க. கண்டிப்பா வருவாங்க. எல்லா டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் ஓகேண்ணா.
English, English को